Welcome to the Vault Studios NFL podcast, an Australian twist on all things NFL. The boys are cracking into a nice cold beer from Burnley Brewing. Let's join them.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I am your host, JA, and unfortunately this week we cannot get my usual NFL podcast co-host, Richie Garraway, and he's just moved house and he's not quite set up yet, which is fine. He moved house Super Bowl week. Big mistake on his behalf. But don't worry, at the Vault Studio, we have plenty of people to jump in and do a good job. And we have owner of FF Down Under Bowl, writer for every fantasy football company you could ever imagine. But most importantly, co-host of the Vault Studio Fantasy Football podcast, my man, Louis Glover. How are you, buddy?
What an introduction. I'm good, Jay. You know, I've got a theory with he's not. Maybe he's moved house already, he's fine, but I reckon Richie's just still hitting the tins in celebration, right?
Well, he is a Bucks fan. I tell you what, he didn't come with the boys on Monday. He was smart. He just sat at home and enjoyed it himself. I gave him a call straight after the game, and I'd probably had one or two beverages at that point, one or two Burnleys, as I like to say. And I don't know if he could make sense of what I was saying, but I made sense of what he was saying, and he was very, very happy. He's had a rough year, Richie. Poor Richie had a couple of family members. He lost a best friend of his, passed away a few weeks ago from cancer. So he's had a rough trot. So I was really happy for the big fella. I really enjoyed, gave him a call, and he was ecstatic. He couldn't believe it, to be honest. So congratulations. I know you'll listen. So congratulations, buddy. We're all wrapped for you. It's been a long slog for the Bucks. Not as long as some, but it's been a rough few years. So it's glad. I always love seeing a team, come up from lower down and get a win. So very enjoyable. And congratulations, Richie. Bit of housekeeping before we get going. Burnley Brewing, our fantastic beer sponsors. Now, Lewis, you don't have one because I still haven't sent you over a box. So Burnley, that's on me. My bad. That's on me. I got a box of beers in the car for Richie too that I still haven't dropped off. So that's all on me. But I'm enjoying a delicious Burnley Brewing, and I will continue to do that until I go to bed. Probably
sweetest sound in the world right there. The can.
Delightful sound. Also, our friends at Breaking Oz Memorabilia, if you're a fan of collecting signed football helmets or jerseys or playing cards or whatever you're after, Breaking Oz Memorabilia is your place to go. All the descriptions down below. Get in there, give them a follow. Same with Burnley Brewing. Patreon fans, I'm doing the Christian McCaffrey tomorrow. I finally worked out random.org. Basically had to sign up for it. Wasn't that difficult. So it's done. I've sorted it out. Lewis, you know what I'm like with computer stuff. So I'm amazed I get this stuff. I'm amazed I can get StreamYard to work. StreamYard is so simple. This is an ad for StreamYard.
Even JA can use it.
Yeah, that's what they should be selling it as. Though the Christian McCaffrey one will go tomorrow, and this month's one, guys, a little bit different. This is a chrome Michigan Wolverines football helmet. It's a college one. This is Chase Winovich, who's an outside linebacker for the New England Patriots. Really cool thing. You've got a great signature and then the number 15 on it. People don't know the more inscriptions you get on a helmet actually increases the value of a helmet. So if you've got a number, all Barry Sanders helmets have something, he writes something specific on it. Zeke Elliott always has 2016 rushing leader. That, depending on when you get them, there's people can do it. Ricky Williams has smoke weed every day on all his helmets because that's Ricky Williams, which is so cool. But yeah, if that's going to be this month's Patreon. So if you want to sign up, go to the link below. Sign up for our Patreon. $10 a month plus for the first time ever. Second prize, guys. Second prize we have now for next month. So even more value. Box of beer. From Burnley Brewing. Now, that's a slab of beer. They do things a bit differently. You can either get like a 16-pack of the bigger cans or it's a 24-pack of the littler ones, depending on what it is. But what I'm happy to do is actually mix and match and make you up a bit of a random box. So whoever wins it, I'll make sure. Plus, you'll get a stubby holder. This is my one. We'll also be giving one of them away with the box. So for $10 a month, a chance to win two prizes. I think we have about 13 people now. So a 1 in 13 chance of either your pick of a helmet or the box of beer and the stubby holder. So thanks to all our patrons. Love you guys. I hope you all understand how far what you guys do for us goes with helping the studio. Helps us do so much. So we appreciate you a lot and can't do this all without you. So thank you very much, guys. But let's get into it. Super Bowl 55. What a game. I'm hearing people coming out of the woodwork now saying, oh, what a garbage game. I don't know in what world you could watch that game and not find it absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was a sensational game. You know, as you said, it's been a tough slog for Tampa. So it was nice to see them with a plucky underdog 6th round pick quarterback come out and really make a name for himself in this game. But in all seriousness, all of the public money was on Kansas City. It was all about Patrick Mahomes is going to throw for 6 touchdowns, 500 yards, whatever. He ended up throwing for no touchdowns. The Buccaneers' game plan was flawless. It was executed to near perfection. They completely shut down everything the Chiefs tried to do.
Well, that was my point. You're 100% right. And the coverage of Hill and Kelsey, I know Kelsey got his yards, but he got a lot of it late. And a lot of
junk time yards.
Yeah, a lot of it was meaningless. I think he got like a 42-yard reception right at the end of the game as well. He still had a fine day. But what amazed me, and Todd Bowles got a lot of credit this year for that defense, I think it's fairly talented. I don't think it's there's a lot of good players on that defense, especially up front, which we'll get to, and the offensive line and everything. But what he did on the back end, this is a team that's been burned all year. And in the playoffs, they're 32% of the time this season they've blitzed. They blitzed 9% in this game. They played too high shell almost the entire game, and they said, Tyreek Hill's not going to beat us. Good luck. Let Will Pringle, Sammy Watkins, Hardman. Is it Hardman? Yeah, Cole Hardman. Let them beat us. And we're gonna rely on Levante David and Devin White to take care of Travis Kelce. And for the better part of the day, they did. For the important part of the day, they certainly did. They handled him exceptionally. They beat him up. He dropped a couple of catches. Every time he caught it, they were right on him. They were hitting him. They were physical with him. There's a play where we talked on the preview, the betting show the other night. Levante David was a chance not to play. And I'm so glad he did. There was a play where Kelce came off the ball, made contact with Levante David, knocked him back a yard, and David just came down on him like a ton of bricks, knocked the ball away and put him to the ground. And they just came ready to play that defense. And I think Andy Reid has some blame in this. He was completely blindsided. He can't have thought, we burn everyone. They're going to play one high and blitzes. He can't have thought that. He can't have thought that the Bucks, Bruce Arians, Todd Bowles, who are great at adjusting, are just going to go, we're just going to do what we do and hope and try and beat them. Like, they're not good enough. They knew they weren't good enough to do that. So they changed their game plan. Kansas City took too long to adjust to it.
Well, they really didn't. And so, Jay, I listen to a ton of different football podcasts, right? It's sort of all I listen to. One of the ones I've been re-listening to and getting into again lately is the GM Shuffle, the Michael Lombardi one.
Love it. Listen to it today.
For 3 weeks, he's been talking about just get physical with Travis Kelce. Don't let Tyreek Hill beat you deep. And as you said, if Byron Pringle, Sammy Watkins, and Mecole Hardman beat you,
it's not meant to be.
More power to you. You deserve to win. Whatever. So the fact that Andy Reid didn't think that they were going to try and neutralize their 2 best weapons and then not even to consider making adjustments to that is absolutely insane.
Never went in the backfield, Tyreek Hill.
Manufacture touches for your most explosive playmaker. Yeah. Start doing something. We saw one jet sweep from Mecole Hardman to the short side of the field, and you're like, well, that's a wasted play. What I couldn't believe, and you talked about the rate at which they dialed up the blitz, incredibly low. Yep. Now, obviously that was for them incredibly low. Now, that was obviously the game plan coming in, but part of what facilitated that, and you already talked about the absolute murderer's row along that defensive line. The Chiefs' offensive line is decimated, and Patrick Mahomes was under duress every single snap. So they were not having to bring any extra men down into the box and call anyone else to get after the quarterback and blitz, because their defensive line was getting it done over and over and over again. Mahomes was under pressure like 90-something% of his dropbacks. It was a
you want to know the fun stat? I got a great fun stat for you.
Lay it on me.
According to Next Gen Stats, I've been taking some screenshots this week. Patrick Mahomes ran a total of 497 yards before he passed or was sacked. That is the most pre-throw, pre-sack yards run by any quarterback in a game this season. So basically, the Bucs pressured them at a rate that no one has seen all year.
So I did see that statistic. I was having a fun little chat with friend of the podcast, ESPN's Laurie Horish on Twitter this morning, and we got Seth Walder, who's like head of analytics for ESPN over in the US there. Guess who the second highest yards before passing belongs to this season?
I'd say, is it like Lamar Jackson or something because he runs around so much? That's what I guess, but I'm tipping it's someone the Bucks played by the way you're saying it.
No, it's Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, really?
Against the Raiders in week 5.
Yeah, when they lost. So basically
Patrick Mahomes does have a propensity. This is not a knock on his game because he is so athletic. He does have a propensity to bail out of the pocket, move around, and make ridiculous throws and gain positive plays. By the way, there were 3 or 4 throws that Patrick Mahomes made that had they been caught, and arguably some of them had, they'd be like on the top 5 all-time Super Bowl plays. They were just absolutely electric.
Sideways
where he was just making
the face.
How do you know platform? He has, not no platform. He was in the air.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand the physics of how that worked. And the other one where he hit Byron Pringle deep right in the corner of the end zone.
Yeah, just couldn't get to it. Yeah, when he was running backwards and being tackled, he was insane. But I thought the Bucks D-line did a good job. It's easy to penetrate, right? You can just set up a D-line. You can go, all right, I'm getting straight through this gap. But if you go uncontrolled, you can then open a hole and the quarterback can just slip up it. And that early on, Mahomes ran it. He got a couple of runs.
It happened once or twice. I think maybe it was JPP or Shaq Barrett. He sort of shimmied them a little bit and went by them. And then they got real disciplined with their rushes.
Mm-hmm.
And they were working as a unit as well. You could see that one guy was coming in, drawing in all the heat, and essentially he was then passing off and going, okay, this is actually, this is your pressure. Barrett and JPP worked in incredible tandem, and, we were talking before the show, Vita Vea just up the middle, what a monstrous presence he was as well.
What a gain getting him back for the playoffs. We thought it would be big, but it was bigger than what I thought. Also, did they use Vita Vea on the edge? And what they did is they just got him to grab the tackle and just walk him back, but hold the outside and just walk him, and basically go, hey, Patrick, run over this way. And then the other two are just screaming off the edge around for it.
Yeah.
Well, we have to mention the Chiefs' offensive line. It was dreadful. I would hate to be Mike Remmers if I opened Twitter or something like that. Mike Remmers is an NFL player and he's an incredibly talented guy, but he is not a starter in a Super Bowl against JPP or Shaquille Barrett. Unfortunately, it's not what
levels. There's levels.
Yeah,
there's levels. It's no disrespect.
He was annihilated by anyone they lined up on him, whoever they wanted. But I can't say the same. I can say the same for any of that line. That includes guys who are normally starters. They dominated that game from start to finish. They set themselves up and said, all right, run at us. Run at Sue. Run at Vay. Run at JPP. Run at Barrett. Run at Devin White. Run at Levante. Run at them. Run at those 5 guys. Have fun. We don't think you can run on them. And they couldn't. They couldn't run on them. And they didn't try. And that was where it went wrong. Andy Reid should have gone, all right, well, let's get some Le'Veon Bell in there. Let's try and just slow this game down and let him try and find some lanes. Do you know how many snaps Le'Veon Bell played on the weekend? 0. Donuts.
I knew that, and I had 7 pints watching the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't think Le'Veon Bell is the best running back in the league at all at this level, but I think he reads holes pretty well. And if he brought in a bit of power play and tried to get him in a movement, he'd probably get some yardage and at least put pressure on the Bucs defense. Something different, try it.
They didn't shift from their standard 5-man protection once all game. When your quarterback is under duress like that, and you go, okay, let's slow it down. Let's try and gain some positive yards running the football. Let's bring in some heavy personnel package. Let's get some,
try something different.
Bring something different in. Bring in another offensive lineman. Pull off one of your receivers who's just doing absolutely nothing, is being taken out of the game right now, and let's try to change something different. Hell, even if you want to get out there and pass out of a heavy set, that's fine. But just give your quarterback a little bit more time to make some things happen. Do something. Change something. Like you were expecting at halftime something to change, and it didn't happen. No,
and we have to give a ton of credit to the Bucs defense. They played hard. They were fast. They tackled exceptionally. Like I can't remember a broken tackle from the Chiefs. Like, I'm sure there was one, but I can't.
But also as well, I believe, and I'd hate to be wrong on this, but I believe that the Buccaneers had quite a poor broken tackle rate through the regular season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that was one of the question marks going up against Green Bay, is that they were bigger, stronger receivers, and the Buccaneers cornerbacks had tackled, or defensive backs had an issue with broken tackles. They cleaned that right up this week.
I think a big reason was you get Winfield back, who hasn't played last two. He might have played last week actually, but he definitely didn't play Washington or the Saints. And that made it. No, I don't think he played against Green Bay. I don't think he did. I think him and Whitehead both missed that game. So you get Whitehead back, you get Winfield back. Safeties are important to defenses. Winfield's one of the great young safeties in the league right now. What a terrific draft, but what a terrific last couple of drafts they've had.
I was just going to say, we've just got to give credit to Jason Light, because that Jameis Winston era, right? Their offense, a 30 for 30 season aside, like Jameis Winston did move the ball downfield. They scored points. But their defense was absolutely shambolic. They even had a bit of an okay, they had Gerald McCoy. They had an okay defensive line. Yep. They had, oh gosh, what's his name? He's on San Francisco 49ers now.
Quan Alexander.
Yeah, Quan Alexander.
He plays for the Saints now.
Does he play for the Saints now?
He got traded last year. That's how small. Highest paid linebacker in the history of the NFL 2 years ago got traded halfway through last year.
They totally missed that. Totally missed that. Thank you. But their secondary absolutely stunk. They've absolutely nailed in the draft. Tristan Wirfs, you must be just foaming over his tape. I'll let you talk.
I've got something good for Tristan Wirfs. Ready? 22 years old. Right?
Yep.
Pretty young for a rookie. Started all 20 games of this season. Did not miss a single snap. 1,280 straight plays. 1 penalty since week 5. 799 pass blocking snaps, 1 sack allowed. Super Bowl champion. It just shows if you can hit on one lineman, we always say,
starts up front.
You hit on one guy, it just rolls around. It rolls.
Jameis,
through.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a Jameis Winston apologist. I'll make no, I won't hide from that. But that line is much improved from last year, right? And then they went, okay, how can we improve this even more? Go and get Tom Brady. Now, Tom Brady's no dual threat guy, but his pocket awareness and how he slides around in the pocket, how he climbs the pocket when he needs to, when pressure's collapsing from the outside in, although not much pressure coming from the outside in.
Donovan Smith, the left tackle's not phenomenal. He had a good playoff run. He certainly got hot for the playoffs, and he's solid. It's very similar to Eric Fisher of the Chiefs. The people getting up in arms about Eric Fisher not playing, I like Eric Fisher. He's not a bad player, but you're not winning and losing a game off him. Now, is he better than Mike Remmers? Yes, 100%. But I don't think JPP was sitting there when he got hurt going, yes, I don't have to face Eric Fisher next week. I think JPP was probably going, I've probably got Eric Fisher. I'm pretty good.
Do you think that's just a holdover from him being the number 1 pick all them years ago? People still think he was he was the first player drafted. He's
maybe. He's certainly not a bad player. Don't get me wrong.
No, I know.
He's probably 10 years into his career now. Like Luke Jokel went number 2 that year to the Jaguars, and he only lasted 4 years in the NFL. So
they didn't even pick his option, did they?
Yeah, he didn't. He never played after his option. I think he played guard for a year for the Seahawks, and then never played again.
That's right.
But he he's not a terrible pick, but the guy Deidrick Smith, I think the right guard is, he's the one, he opted out at the start of the year. So the right guard didn't play all year. So don't give me 3 backups, because let's be honest, it wasn't 3 backups. That other guy who filled in his name, I don't even know, Siemen or something like that, he played all year. So he's not a backup. He was a starter this year. Deidrick Smith didn't play a game. Jeff Schwartz is a massive loss. I think he's one of the best tackles in the NFL.
Mitchell, his brother's.
Sorry, Mitchell. brother is a great Twitter follow. Just quietly.
He's tremendous. I would love to get Jeff Schwartz on the podcast. He would be
I've
absolutely.
interviewed him before.
Have you really?
Before. Yeah, well, I did an offensive line podcast about 3 years ago when he just stopped playing, and he's friends with Duke Manyweather, and I had Duke on, and then he got on to Jeff for me. He's great. He was a great guy. But yeah, Mitchell Schwartz, he's been out, I think, since week 3 or 4 off the top of my head. So it's not like they were just shell-shocked at the last minute by backup linemen. They also could have not ran routes 50 yards downfield. They could have said, all right, this isn't working. Hey, Tyreek Hill, you're an incredible athlete. Let's run some short stuff and get you open. Like, they didn't try. They just said, we're the Chiefs. We score lots of points. Yeah. No one stops us.
A little bit of arrogance
in potentially. And the Bucs said, okay. And they built this lead and went, have fun chasing us. Simple as that. And we'll transition over to the Bucs stuff now. Brady, we'll talk about Brady and Mahomes later. But the Brady and Gronk, we talked Sunday night about Brady and Gronk. And I said, he's going to score a touchdown.
Yeah,
there's no doubt in
I should have bet it. I should have bet it.
He is gonna have a big game. I know it. He was the best player on the day on the offense. It was a well spread out offense. He had 6 catches for 60-odd yards, 2 touchdowns. We knew Gronk would have a game like this. Brady trusts him. He's gonna throw to guys he trusts in big games. You look at it in the past, Edelman has big games in playoffs. Gronk has big games in playoffs. Who was the other slot receiver, the real good one, whose name was slipping my mind, starts with W. Wes Welker had big games back in the day. He goes to guys he trusts. And we knew Gronk was going to do that. But a guy I really want to highlight and I want to talk about as a under the radar pickup from the start of the year is Leonard Fournette. What an outstanding game he had. And then you pair that, I think when they got Leonard Fournette, that put a rocket up Ronald Jones' ass. Because Ronald Jones was not a good football player last year. He was so much better. They became a great little tandem this season. But Fournette, he ran hard. He broke tackles. He punished the defense. He got first downs. He grinded the game out. 16 for 89 yards and a touchdown, 5.6 to carry. Ronald Jones, 12 for 61, 5.1 a carry, no touchdowns. You're not going to write home about that. They're not MVP numbers. But together, over 5 yards a carry that's 2 rushes for every first down. That's what you're going to look at it as. That's dominance up front. That's O-line and running back dominance.
Yeah, no question. And Leonard Fournette's value. Now, I'm going to put my hand up here. I've been one of the biggest public Leonard Fournette haters possible. He was my absolute fade of the year in terms of fantasy when he was still on Jacksonville going in the 3rd round. I was calling anyone who drafted him a donkey. He was then released. And he wasn't good for a while, but I think I think coming to an environment where it's a competitive team, I think it's brought the best out in him. Not walking into a starting role has probably been good for him. But where he has really contributed, because, as you said, Ronald Jones wasn't a good football player. He's definitely improved as a runner. But my goodness, he is still a shit pass catcher. Leonard Fournette was able to fulfill that role. Was able to fulfill that role exactly what Brady needed him to do. So, yeah, hats off to Leonard Fournette. And I am so everyone who follows me or heard me on a podcast knows this. Do not pay running backs money. I think Leonard Fournette has earned himself some decent money. It also wouldn't surprise me to see him take a potential team-friendly deal to stay in.
Well, can we talk Mike Evans? Did you see what Mike Evans said during the week?
No, I didn't.
He quoted, this is a quote directly from Mike Evans from a press conference. Sorry, from Bruce Arians about Mike Evans. Mike Evans is the most unselfish superstar I've ever met. He's told us to use some of his money if we need to keep the team together. You reckon Antonio Brown's playing theirs next year? I would say 96% chance he's back there next year. Again, he wasn't outstanding. 5 for 22, 1 touchdown. Goodwin only 2 catches for 9 yards. Mike Evans only had the 1 for 31. That was the biggest
play. Big play.
Also got a 50-yard pass interference, which, guys, you can argue about the refs all you want. When a guy's running wide open and you dive and take his legs out, you can't claim uncatchable.
Oh no, that one I thought was clear.
There was a couple
there was the other one. It was off the interception. By the way, Leonard Fournette, good game. But what the hell was Leonard Fournette doing when he batted that ball? Just like your tip drill, hit the ball into the ground. That's what you do, or just hit the ball down.
Brady lost his mind. He was so angry. Can we actually? That's a great segue into Gronkowski and Tyrann Mathieu. So there was some heat there after the interception. Mathieu had some unkind words to say to Tom Brady. Matthew's a competitor. I love it. It's very enjoyable. And then when Brady threw the touchdown on him on Antonio Brown, that's standing route by Antonio Brown. I don't think anyone could have covered him or got that close to him on that route than Mathieu did. Got the touchdown. He's in his face. Now, it's come out now that Tyrann Mathieu has said, he tweeted saying, if you'd heard what Brady said to me, you wouldn't be on his side. I'm not going to get into that crap. Brady apparently gave him a phone call and said, mate, I'm sorry. It was just a competitive moment. I got a lot of respect for you. It's all good now. The tweet was deleted, but it's like the Myles Garrett incident. I just hate that stuff. I hate being like, because Brady was mic'd up. So they wanted to find it.
Obviously, if you didn't think NFL Films had a microphone in the toilet when Brady was taking a pregame shit.
Yeah, it was.
This was a guy going for his 7th Super Bowl. That you think NFL Films isn't going to make 100 hours of footage out of this and the build up to the game? They're going to print money for
game.
Can
you imagine the DVD that's coming out? There's no way anything like that happened. If it does come out that it did, then that's dreadful. But I highly doubt it. I'm like 99.9999% sure it did not happen. But the heat was fun. I love seeing Brady like that. He must be the most competitive dude in the world. There mustn't be anyone as competitive as him.
So I was listening to an episode of Part of My Take a couple of weeks ago, and Julian Adam was on. He's one of the recurring guests. He's friends with.
Was it with Big Cat? I love Big Cat.
Big Cat's the man.
Big Cat's the best.
But they were interviewing Julian Adam, and they were like, "How competitive is Tom Brady?" He's like, "It's absurd." He's like, "You're playing in a league where everyone is competitive. Everyone is competitive, but he comes in every single day, and it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a low intensity day. He just wants to compete. Whatever it is, he wants to outwork you, to be better than you." He said it's the Michael Jordan thing. The guy made up false things that he would imagine things in his head that oppositions would say to him.
You'd hear him talking about it on the court. Like, he'd be like, I know you said that about me. They'd be like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
And he's like, I know what you did. I know exactly what you did.
I mean, it's not – mental illness is a serious thing, right? But we're talking about the great pinnacle. There is something not right in the head with these guys. No. To be able to do that over and over and over. And we're not just talking about for a couple of years. We're talking about day in, day out for decades. It's absurd. And he's coming back.
That's the scary.
And he's coming back.
Brady said, me and Gronk are coming back. Don't worry.
Me and Gronk are coming back. The whole roster's basically put together. The defense is all...
got to get Antonio Brown. That's the only person they got to get wrapped up. We'll see if they want to. I would. If you feel like you've got this window...
He lives with Tom Brady. He's hugging Giselle afterwards. He's like He's like it's like stepbrothers down there in Tampa Bay, right?
I will say something about Antonio Brown, right? I gave him a lot of crap for what he went through, and he deserved it. He did some terrible things, and if you want to read up on that, go and read up on it. It's not
allegedly
alleged terrible things. The photos don't make it that alleged though. But anyway, some terrible things. But I think you look at his time in Pittsburgh, right? Squeaky clean, never an issue. And you look at his time since this year in the NFL, before he signed with Tampa Bay, and then during this season, squeaky clean. Not one issue, not one report, not one problem. Is there maybe a chance that he was going through something pretty serious when he was in Oakland and that sort of stuff? Like when he left, for a couple of years, he just had a real rough trot, and he's going to pay for that, and he's paid for that in other ways, but he's going to pay for that with some legal issues too, I imagine. But is there a chance that the fact that his prior and former self are completely different to what we saw in that Hard Knocks and all that? We've seen him hundreds of times being recorded. He's never been like that. Never been one report. The Steelers surely weren't hiding that for years. No,
the worst thing he did on the Steelers, as far as I know, was the Facebook Live video after they lost that game, and he was live streaming Tomlin's speech. But in terms of off the field behavior and stuff, there were no reports. Now, maybe they did a good job. Maybe they did a good job.
And the Bucs are doing a good job too, and the Raiders are just crap.
I mean, Pittsburgh. It is such a football town. It wouldn't surprise me if the whole city's just got an ongoing pact to protect the football players. Don't talk about Antonio, right? Or they'll take the team from us. Well, I don't know, but it is clear that something was not right with him. That whole Raiders, he was doing music. He was going on his helmet. He melted.
Not playing because he's
not playing because of helmet. He burned his feet off in the cryo chamber. Nothing seemed right. It was all really, really strange. And
he screwed up. Don't get me wrong. I'm not defending him. I'm not saying
but something was different.
Well, in the day and age where we treat mental health as a proper disease, and I agree with it. Don't get me wrong. I 100% agree. you probably, if it was that, they probably do need to cut him some slack, because you know what? Everyone else in the world gets cut some slack that have mental health issues. So why doesn't he deserve it? If he stays squeaky clean, if it happens again, then you're going to be like, okay, well, the guy's just an idiot and people hit it. But, you know, I just think the fact he's literally not stepped 1 foot out of line. His post-game press conference was one of the most respectful things I've seen. He was calm and collect and said, look, you know, I'm really happy we won. It was awesome. I love Tom Brady. I love this team. I'm really happy I'm here. You know, bless my family, bless God. He was just like a normal guy. He hadn't, like, from where he was at the Raiders to there, maybe they've had an effect on him. I don't know. But, you know, he was a knucklehead at the Patriots when he was there for a few games last year. He was a knucklehead everywhere. And then all of a sudden he's just calmed right down. So something's changed. I don't know what it is. Maybe the fear of losing his career. Who knows?
Losing about $30 million will hurt him.
Probably doesn't help. I don't think money's an issue for Antonio Brown, to be quite honest.
I don't think so, but I also wouldn't be surprised if, you know, in 15 years' time we find out Antonio Brown's bankrupt as well. He had one big.
Yeah, because he was
a 7th round pick, right? So he had no money as a rookie. I think he had one really big deal in Pittsburgh. His guaranteed money got run out, so that's why he wanted to be traded. Of money at the Raiders but most of that was voided. He's in arbitration, like, so he lost a lot of money there. He had to pay money back to the Patriots on his signing bonus, and he's playing for a very small amount. So he lost his helmet sponsor as well. And this is not a pity party. I'm just saying, as a matter of fact, he's cost himself a lot of money. You know, paying a lot of taxes.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully he sorts it out, because I'll say one thing about him is I don't think what he's done has been good at all, but he's a great football player. Like that route, he's still one of the best.
He's still one of the best in the NFL.
I don't think anyone in the history of the NFL would have covered him on that route for a 2-yard gain. There's no one could cover that route. He was like the fake out and then in so quick. Like, Tyrann Mathieu did a good job to get his hand like to the catch point. It was awesome. I want to talk about Arians quickly. Was the oldest head coach in the NFL history. If you don't know Arians' story, it's actually a really cool story. He was at Pittsburgh for a while. He then went to the Colts. Chuck Pagano got cancer, didn't coach for the year. He won assistant head coach and coach of the year that year, filling in for the Colts. He then coached Arizona for a few years, had some heartbreaking losses in the playoffs. The year where Honey Badger Carson Palmer got hurt on the playoff run, and he lost his 2 best players. They were in the box seat to try and win one that year, lost their quarterback. Ryan Finley had to play in the playoffs. So I'll let you all guess how that. Half of you were going, who the hell's Ryan Finley? Half of you going, oh God, I remember that game. It was hard. He then retires for a few years, comes back, wins a Super Bowl. And what I really want to highlight, 2 African-American offensive and defensive coordinators, 2 females on his roster, full-time assistant coaches, first coach to ever do it. His assistant head coach, also African-American. He's talked about as a trailblazer. And this is an old dude. Like, you know, we always say, it's a boys club, the NFL. This is a guy
the old white dude.
Yeah, this is a guy who's genuinely trying to change the face of the NFL and the way it works. I think it's a disgrace that Eric Bieniemy, Todd Bowles, Byron Leftwich, these guys weren't even, let's be honest. I know Eric Bieniemy got a few interviews. No one was willing to wait, which is just ridiculous to me. I don't know how that happens, but anyway, it is what it is. I'm not going to get into that part of it all, but I just say
he gave a very interesting interview. People can go and look that up. But he gave it during Super Bowl week. He did give a very interesting interview, and he's like, "I didn't ask to be the poster boy for the coaches not getting an opportunity." And I do think, we've seen it time and time again, that teams, for whatever reason, teams aren't willing to wait either. And I don't understand, because the reality is you're going to be getting a great coach who's just got championship pedigree, or at least gotten to a championship, right? Or they've won their conference title. So teams should be willing to wait, and But yeah, as you were saying,
the best offense 2 years running. Like Eric Bieniemy, and like you got Patrick Mahomes, great. Like, are you telling me, like, maybe if Houston hire him, Deshaun Watson's like, okay, I'll give this a go. Like, anyway,
we've got David Culver.
I'm talking about Bruce Arians and the way I admire that he's trying 100%. To change things, because there's so many, we call it the old white dudes club. There's so many that they're just not trying to change anything, and they're not. Like the fact that Matt Patricia's just straight back hired in New England. It's the same thing. They just jump. Everyone just goes back. They just go back to where they're from.
No league does retreads better than the NFL.
Yeah, everyone gets a job. Go and have a head coach. Like, you reckon when Dan Campbell gets sacked in 3 years' time, not because he's a bad coach, because he's going to coach for Detroit and they're never going to win anything, especially with Jared Goff. Do you think when you reckon he's not straight back to the Saints as the assistant offensive coordinator or the tight ends coach or something? Of course,
offensive quality control, something like that.
They will find a role because they look after themselves. So I admire Bruce Arians for what he's doing. I think it's remarkable, and especially 2 female assistant coaches as well. I think that's awesome. I think that's great. I think it's good stuff. So I wanted to make sure we mentioned that. Let's get on. Let's go Mahomes and Brady legacy. So a lot of people said that if Mahomes ever wanted to be the GOAT, which I think Tom Brady is, and if people even want to argue that with me now, I just walk away. I literally just walk away from the conversation. I'm the rudest person in the world when people want to have that argument, because I don't want to have it and I don't care. If you want to have the argument of who's the best sporting athlete of all time over any sport, that's one I'll happily have, because that's a bit heated. There's no comparison in football. Don't tell me Joe Namath or Joe Montana or not even close. I don't care. Tom Brady is it. We will never see a guy like this again. It's certainly not in our lifetime, Lewis. Certainly.
No. We certainly won't. And one thing I sort of started a bit of discussion on Facebook about is that I think people are now realizing how insanely hard it is to win a Super Bowl, right? We had the best quarterback in the NFL. Let's make no mistake about it. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback.
No doubt about it.
With the best tandem of weapons, a great offensive coach, some playmakers on defense, and it all fell apart for them. Now, what I'm about to say now might be considered controversial. People might get all up in arms, but there's a greater than 0 chance that Patrick Mahomes never wins another Super Bowl. Now, the fact of the matter is that's probably unlikely, but many a great quarterback have won a Super Bowl earlier in their career and then failed to do it again. Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Brett Favre, right? These names come to mind because it is incredibly difficult to do. Dan Marino, right? Dan Marino, one of the most didn't get one. Played in one, didn't win. I don't think he got back there. One of the greatest quarterbacks ever. If you want to lose your mind real quick, go and look up Dan Marino's statistics in an era. Go and look at his numbers. They are absolutely absurd.
He's playing now.
He was putting Patrick Mahomes-esque numbers up back then when he was getting laid out, and it's just incredible. It is so hard to win a Super Bowl. This Chiefs team isn't going to be able to stay together too much longer. Travis Kelce's probably got a couple of years in him. The salary cap's going to be coming right down. Patrick Mahomes got big money. Maybe one more year in. Eric Bieniemy
will stuff something up soon. We all know it.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that can go awry for Patrick Mahomes.
Crossed an injury. You can see how injuries just change. I hope that doesn't happen. But
right, exactly. But I mean, look at Dak Prescott.
Look at I've got a great one for you. Robert Griffin III.
Yeah.
He was. If people don't realize how good Robert the Griffin, go back and you can still get it in Game Pass. Go and watch
electricity.
2011 season, I think it was. He was Rookie of the Year. Took the Washington Redskins back then it was to the playoff berth, which no one thought they were going to be any good. He carried that team to a play. Remember they lost to Seattle and Trent Williams punched Richard Sherman in the face after the game? That was the game. He punched him in the face. I'll still never forget. And then they played on the same team together this year in 49. They're best mates now. That was hysterical. But yeah, he blew his knee up in that game. He was never the same guy. But if you think, Robert Griffin, he was a bust. He was not a bust. He was.
His knee exploded.
Look at Andrew Luck. Maybe he just gets a bad shoulder and he's still good, but then goes, you know what? I'm done. I don't.
He made all his money. Ursay didn't make him pay it back. They negligently never gave him. Imagine Andrew Luck behind the Colts offensive line now. They would have won. They would have competed for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, 100%. And this is the thing. You don't know how it's going to go, but but what we do know is that Brady's in his career, every 3 years he wins a Super Bowl.
It's the most. It's truly ridiculous, and people can go back.
Half of them.
Yeah, people can go back and they can nitpick, and it's one of the fun things online to do. You can be like, oh, it was tuck rule, or it was a kicker, or whatever it is.
You can take 3 off him, but you can give him 3 too.
If you're giving
him tuck rule, if you're not giving him the tuck rule Super Bowl, you've got to give him David Tyree freaking helmet catch, because you know what? If that was this year, Eli Manning's blown dead on that play 10 seconds earlier when 3 defensive linemen have him wrapped up. So I'm telling you, it's blown. So you can't do that. You can't just go, oh, we'll take that one. And me and Richie did the other week, and we found 3 more for him, and we took 3 away. Like, well, what if Seattle run the ball on first down? Yeah, what if they run the Philly special and it doesn't work, and Nick Foles gets drilled in the backfield and they fumble and someone runs for a touchdown? Like, that's a fun game to play. They did throw it, and Malcolm did pick it off. So tough break. Like, that's football.
That's football. And
this season, though, I'll just give you another little fun stat.
I had a brain fade. Go on.
The Bucs are the first team to beat 3 Super Bowl MVPs in the same season. That's Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and Drew Brees. You want to know what the scariest part of it all? They beat Aaron Rodgers twice, but you know what the scariest part of it all? All 3 of those wins were on the road in the playoffs. Like we've said it for the past 3 weeks. I keep saying, like, the Bucs shouldn't win this game, and you keep saying, but it's Brady. Like, whenever you've got Brady, you have a chance. So if we feel that, what do you think Devin White's feeling lining up at linebacker going, if I can just get a turnover here, Brady will win this for us.
We got Brady. Yeah.
He's a god. He'll win this game. You know, if I can, I know he threw a bad pick to Mike Evans, but Mike Evans is going, he will hit me next time and we'll score. He won't make that mistake again. That's the thing. Like, if we feel that, like, if we can feel that that ability that
we know players feel that. They talk about it. You just find interviews everywhere of them talking this way.
Like, did you see the interview with the guy? I forgot who it was. It was one of the young corners of the Bucs. He was filming himself, and it was on live. And someone said, "Oh, show us Tom Brady." And he was like, "Man, Tom Brady ain't doing anything special. This is like the 7th time him they showed him just packing up his bag quietly in the corner, just high-fiving guys as they ran past, just loving the moment, looking like the old dude on the team is just sitting back watching the young guys just really enjoy it, being like him and Gronk just sitting there like, yeah, this is pretty fun. Football is pretty fun, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's old enough, though. We know that. Everyone does.
Yeah, I mean, he's almost old enough to be the father of some of the youngest players on the team. Not quite, but it's close.
Like, he's not making out with them. Got to throw a Tom Brady shot in somewhere.
You got it. But the way he's able to seemingly connect and adapt with all of his teammates is really, really remarkable. And what's been fun since leaving the lockdown of New England. And speaking of Bruce Arians, we've got to give him credit, by the way, because he's renowned for being incredibly chill. He never lets his coaching staff. He's a player's coach. He's a coach's coach. Coaches never miss children's like recitals or sporting games or whatever they need to do.
The coach not paid. He pays them for their coaching, not for their lives. Like, we've seen in the past Hard Knocks where, you know, Rex Ryan was one. All the coaches had beds next to their desks. I'm like, mate, if I'm the head coach, I'm going in and going, what are you doing? Go home and see your family for a few hours, you moron. Like,
the contrast between Belichick
go home.
Arians.
And you know what? It has its. I'm sure it has its.
Success. Right. They're just. I mean, we're talking about two different sides of the same coin, right? We're talking about great genius coaching, but it's just been crazy to see Brady go from one environment to another. Now,
like the videos of him and Gronk walking across the tarmac,
social media.
Brady with Brady, no, with Belichick, no way.
Brady's become one of the best follows on social media. Like, he's just got this freedom, just outstanding. And what I will say, you know how you said you've got no time for conversations around whether Brady's the greatest quarterback ever? I've got no time right now for conversations of, well, this settles that it was Brady all along in New England, or, you know, just
why
stop.
Can't it be both?
Why can't it be both? Because recognize Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback. He was paired with the greatest coach, and that's how you got that absolute longevity and success, right? It was a perfect storm of perfect factors. Look at the situation Brady went from last year to what he's in now. And by the way, like, the Patriots, you know, it's easy to say in hindsight, but I said at the time, letting Tom Brady go was a mistake. I didn't think he was done by any stretch of the imagination. You look at the supporting cast he was asking to throw to, you know, they went and got him N'Keal Harry, Sony Michel, Jacoby Myers.
Well, look at Cam Newton.
Look at what they asked Cam Newton to do. Gunnar Olszewski,
Demir
Bird. No,
Demir
but
Bird had a good year though, breakout year. Someone had to catch the ball.
And his 9th year in the league, or whatever it is.
That's the thing. You're right. It's not. I'm not interested in that conversation. I certainly think when you tally it up now, that you can probably go like, yeah, Brady. He went and won with someone else, and I think that's big for Brady's legacy.
Huge.
But I don't know why.
Take away anything from.
No, I don't know why that needs to affect Belichick's legacy. Why do you have to compare them? One's a coach and one's a quarterback. I don't see why you do.
That's what you do in sports talk, right? You just.
I know that's all anyone does, I think. But yeah, I certainly don't. This doesn't take away from the Patriots team this year was complete dog shit. Like they shouldn't have made the play. No one else gets close to the playoffs for that team. They're probably a two-win team. Like give that team to Adam Gase and see what he does. Give the Jets to Bill Belichick. He probably wins 6 games with them. Like that's on me. I don't think it certainly enhances Brady's legacy, but it doesn't deject from Belichick for me anyway. I know some people just like to hate people, but I certainly don't. I just hope, and I've said this almost every week. I've just really enjoyed this ride, and I'm looking. The Bucks were interesting. Like this was a fun story. I said it as soon as it happened. I said, "God, I cannot wait to see how this works." I didn't think it would be a Super Bowl win. I think I said mid-season, I think they can win a Super Bowl, and they've got all the pieces. But every week it felt like they were just the underdog. You know, they lost to the Saints twice during the regular season, so they didn't win the division. And then they had the Washington on the road, and they weren't great against Washington.
Did it the hard way.
Yeah, then it's the Saints. Oh, they've beaten them twice. They've got their number, but Brady's just like, nah, you don't have my number. I'm just going to change up. The offense developed. I feel like Arians. Again, you talk about Arians as his coaching. I feel like during the year he kind of worked with Brady and went.
He did.
What do you want? It got so different as it went on.
Yes, it changed. He handed over to Brady. He put more freedom on Tom Brady. He said, go make your decisions on the field. He gave him autonomy to do what he wants because he was like, it's like having a coach out there. No one has seen more than Tom Brady. And that takes a lot of unselfish players, but real lack of ego from Bruce Arians as well, who's a bona fide great coach in his own right to sort of go, you know what, I'm going to defer to you on this one.
100%. And I said, like, no egos. Like Mike Evans, 1 catch for 31 yards. If that's Odell Beckham. Oh man! Oh, don't start at halftime. He's having a fight with the net because he hasn't got a catch yet. Mike Evans is just like, we're up 21-6 in a playoff in a Super Bowl against the team that no one thinks we can beat. Run the ball. I'm gonna block the crap out of people. Like I don't give a crap. Godwin had 2 catches for 9 yards. One was on the opening play of the game. Like, did you see any issues? Did he not block hard? Did he not run his routes hard? No, he just worked his ass off, and that might over time that might develop, but I think you can probably say all the mouths got fed in that offense in this year, and that's what Brady does. He's not a one person like he won't just feed one guy all the time. He takes
I heard a quote and they I can't remember where it's from, so I can't attribute it correctly, but it was something to the effect of, if it's not my number this week, it probably will be next week. Like
just keep doing the hard stuff.
Keep doing the hard stuff, and you'll get your numbers eventually. You'll get your numbers eventually. So it works out. Chris Godwin's a great example because you talked about Mike Evans. He made that one big play. On that one play, so on the huge play by Mike Evans, who was absolutely peeling down the field to clear out underneath for Mike Evans to make that reception. It was Chris Godwin.
Yeah, he certainly wasn't half-assing it, thinking, I'm not getting this ball. He was going, hey, best case scenario here, I get over the top and score a touchdown. Worst case, Mike's one-on-one crossing the field. Have fun. Good luck chasing him. He's
6'5", 4.5 speed. Ridiculous. Built it all out.
On him, Brady's just going to throw it up in the air and he's going to catch it. And he got the PI. And it was a real team game. And before we finish up, I wanted to mention Devin White. I've had a crush on him all year. I think he's the best linebacker in football. I don't care what your stats tell you. I don't care what your analytics tell you. Watch him play football. And the other thing on stats and analytics, because, leading up to this game, I get sick and tired. I like my stats and analytics to a point, but I'm not a big, this is why this team's going to win. Because I think in today's statistical world, you can find a stat to prove any point you want. I really do believe that, or most of the points you want.
Sure.
But what this game was to me, and football is about, 11 guys on offense and 11 guys on defense and, special teams playing each other. And the bottom line was that on the day, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had 11 guys on offense, defense, and special teams that played better, played harder, and wanted it more. That's what it was. And there's no stat for that. I can't give you a stat on why Devin White was so effective in that game. I can't give you a stat on why was Levante David hurt? More reports, he had a bloody tear in his hamstring. And he played like a champion. Was he hurt all game? I couldn't tell you. I don't know. But he didn't look like it. Played like a complete champion. And that's the end of the day. That is what football is to me. It's guys playing each other, and they had more football players on the day than the Chiefs. And that's what Mahomes said in his interview straight after. He said they beat us in every way. They kicked our ass. Anything we wanted to do, they were there. They were fighting. That, if they weren't covering, there's 5 guys running down to catch the receiver. The receiver would catch it, turn, and be like, oh my God, there's 5 guys about to hit me every time. And that's the difference. I've watched the game 3 times. I'm telling you, the Bucs just wanted it more on the day. They shell-shocked them from the start, and the Chiefs couldn't recover. Mahomes is a superstar. I think he'll win another one. I do believe that. But
I think so too.
It was a great game by the Bucs.
Yeah, absolutely. You summed it up really well.
Yeah, analytics are great. I get it, but sometimes you just got to throw them out and go, let's just watch. And I think that's what Super Bowls are and playoff games are. Like, let's just let these dudes play.
Well, yeah,
they're all here.
Analytics aren't good for individual small sample size. Analytics works, by taking large sample size and looking, at multiple decisions over a course of time. And those tiny moments in the game, at the end of the day, you got to line up and beat the guy in front of you.
100%.
The Bucs Tampa Bay did, and Kansas City beat themselves as well. They had miscues. Travis Kelce had that drop on 3rd down, led to the punt. They were ill-disciplined. Now, say what you say about the refs calling things, then they were, they had the hold on the
penalized all year. The Chiefs have been penalized all year.
They had the hold on that punt, and Bruce Arians had the absolute stones instead of just to make him repunt it, because he'd seen him shank one, he'd fumbled one, he was nervous, and he went, do it again, and they got the ball on the 40-yard line. And at that point,
that's what happens in games. Once things start going wrong, and Bruce Arians has been around football a long time, he's probably looking at that. It's 21-6. They've just stuffed up. That was a good punt. They've got us in bad field position. They've just stuffed up on a holding. They're yelling at each other. They're probably upset with the punter. He's probably nervous. Let's make him punt it again. Hey, have fun, buddy. Punt it again to me. Good luck. Oh, the wind's getting swirly all of a sudden.
Like, worst case scenario, we get the ball back.
100%.
Best case scenario,
you're in better. Yeah, it was a great move, and that's what Arians did all day. And quickly, we didn't mention first time playing in a Super Bowl in your home stadium. We said that has an effect. Waking up in your own bed, doing that, it has an effect on people. Being in your own town for the week, especially with Corona, they couldn't come as early as they normally would for a Super Bowl. That was a big thing to happen. But first team to win in a home city, it's awesome. Again, it's the only time it's ever happened in 55 years. It might not ever happen again.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's like the Jets winning a Super Bowl. It might not ever happen again. Probably more chance of Brady winning another one than
Yeah, honestly, yeah. If you had to put up the probabilities, I'd say that's certainly fair. Well, look, I'm happy for Tampa Bay fans. I'm happy for Richie. I'm happy for Tom Brady. I'm sad that the Patriots cocked that up and didn't.
They should just brought in talent.
They brought in talent, but also just give him the damn deal he wants. If it causes a down year or two, he's earned that right.
They didn't even pay him.
They gave him he just wanted a 2-year deal. The Patriots wouldn't give him a 2. He wanted 2 years. He wanted a show of faith from the team that he could play till he's 45 that he wants to do. The Patriots didn't do it. And now, you got bitter Patriots fans being like, oh, I wanted Brady to lose. No, how can you go and root against the guy that's delivered you so much happiness, so many good memories?
I don't understand how anyone could not want that. Like, for the story of sport, I don't know why anyone could not. It'd be like hoping Jordan, lost, hoping he missed the flu game. He just doesn't play the flu game and they lose. You know what I mean? Like, and then they're out of the playoff. They're out of the play and they don't win that year. Like, you know what I mean? It's like hoping for that. Who would want that? Everyone wants that stuff.
Like hoping Michael Phelps gets disqualified when he's going.
Yeah,
100th gold medal or whatever the shit he went for.
people like that, like I'm just like, I feel sorry for you. You should enjoy things more. The world's a lot more fun when you just enjoy stuff like that. Let's wrap things up. Wanted to say thank you again. Good friends at Burnley Brewing. Apparently their Super Bowl day went swimmingly. Might have to go down there next year. That'll be very fun. Thank you to our support for the whole season from Burnley Brewing. We love you guys and appreciate you. Breaking On's Memorabilia, thank you for support this season. If you want to collect some signed helmets, get into their group, join in. They're a great group of guys. They're a lot of fun. The breaks are really good fun. If you're a bit of a gambler, you'll enjoy it more. I find it hard because I don't gamble, so I find it hard to do it, but I do enjoy it. You get a bit of excitement out of it. So go in there and get in. Just start out with a few small ones and enjoy it. It's not going to cost you a lot of money. It's good fun, though, and thank you to Breaking Oz for their support this season. Really appreciate you. Patreon, if you want to sign up, this is this month's helmet. Chase Winovich Chrome Michigan College helmet. It's actually really cool. It's a really cool lid, number 15 on it. Chase Winovich was an absolute stud at Michigan, if you don't know that. Pretty good NFL player too. So yeah, great haircut. Sign up. Also, second prize this month, you'll have the box of beer and a stubby holder from Burnley Brewing. So make sure 2 prizes. I think it's a great deal, $10 a month. The last thing I wanted to mention before I get out of here, and I wanted to say it's the end of the show because it is a bit of a downer, but I felt like it's something I really wanted to say and use this platform we have, no matter how big or small we feel it is. Chris Wessling, who, don't know him, he's from the Around the NFL podcast. He survived cancer a couple of years ago. He unfortunately passed away 3 days before the Super Bowl. Terrible news. Leaves his wife, Lakeisha, and his young son, Lincoln. Sad, sad, sad. If you haven't listened to the Around the NFL podcast yet about him, do yourself a favor. It's really sad, but it's really, really worthwhile. Chris did an interview with us a couple of years ago. The interview was great. It was awesome fun, but what I took away from it, it was 2:00 in the morning or something for me, and I was so excited to talk to him. I can't explain how excited I was that Chris Wessling from Around the NFL wants to come and talk to me. Like, it was just so fun, and did the interview, and then we sat down. This was in the old studio for maybe an hour and a half, just talking. And I'm sitting there like, God, it's 4:00 in the morning, but I don't want him to say I have to go. Like, I'll stay up all night talking to this guy. He was so interested in football in Australia and how it worked and what it was about. And I think he probably went away from that thinking that, that was just a chat with someone. I don't think he realized how big an effect that had on me, that someone like Chris Wessling would want to have a conversation with me about football. The Around the NFL podcast is my favorite podcast ever. They inspired me with the Vault Studio. They're my heroes. And I'll really miss Chris. It's a really sad day in football. And the reports from everyone around the league and around the NFL, the sports writer world, everyone is just saying the same stuff about him. So we lost a really good one. And I just thought it was really important for myself just to say that how grateful I am for that experience I had with him. And this is the effect he had on me from a couple of hours. I can only imagine how sad and horrified people are that he's gone. So to his family, all the best wishes ever. And they'll probably never get over it and never forget him. And I think someone like me won't either. So I just wanted to mention that. And thanks, Chris, for that time. And, good luck to all his friends and family getting through this hard time. But yeah, I want to say that to the end because it is a bit of a downer, but I felt like it was something we need to say. Lewis, mate, thank you so much for jumping on. We missed Richie tonight. Congratulations, Rich, but thanks for jumping on and joining in with me. I really appreciate it, mate. And we'll be seeing your face again very soon. Probably have a week off, guys, for the Super Bowl. Then we'll be back and the content will start flowing out again. I can promise you we've got some massive, massive stuff coming this year for the next season for the Vault. It's not going to slow down. The sky's the limit. Lewis, Corey, DJ, Jules, Richie, the boys from College Football Down Under for coming on during the off season, Chipper for doing some betting stuff for us. Anyone who was involved this season, anyone who was around, I appreciate all of you guys. I love doing this podcast. I love the Vault Studio, and you all make it so worthwhile. So I appreciate you a lot, and thanks a lot, Lewis.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Jay. It was awesome to come and chat the Super Bowl. I think that was a great way to end with the things you said about Wes as well. So let's leave it there. Let's wrap it up for this season. We'll be back soon. I just wanted to say as well, thanks to Corey for being a great co-host on the Fantasy Pod, and we had quite a few guests on this year as well. So all of those great guests who came on, really appreciate that. And yeah, really looking forward to just keeping going and growing the Vault Studio into the next season.
Appreciate you, man. I'll talk to you soon.
See you, Jay.